State for Defense, Bello Matawale, has shed more light on the public spat between his cabinet colleague at the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and a naval officer, Lieutenant Commander A.M. Yerima, saying Wike disregarded the advice of some service chiefs and proceeded to confront the officer at a disputed property site in Abuja. Matawale stated that the naval officer acted strictly in accordance with instructions and displayed discipline and respect throughout the encounter. The Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, on the other hand, has stressed the importance of adhering to due process in resolving disputes over land ownership in Abuja, declaring that he will continue to respect all government institutions, including the military. Wike urged Nigerians to learn to obey the laws, adding that government will not tolerate any attempt to undermine approved land allocations.
And I know what it takes. Even as a governor, no governor will say that they supported the military more than me. So I know. But how do you see a private individual knowing fully well that you are against the law? It is not military versus government, no. If it was military, I would have written to them that, look, military, why are you doing this? This is a private individual. Land was not allocated to him. Land was allocated to a company called Santos. In 2007, for parks and recreation. They applied to the former minister for change of use. The minister refused. The man went, started selling land. Maybe the former chief staff fell into their scam, sold. This government property is not your property.
Meanwhile, the former Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, has called for more enlightenment on civic education so as to prevent confrontations between the military and civilians. Irabo warns that it is wrong to physically assault an officer in uniform, but rather urge citizens to use the official channel to report errant security personnel so as to prevent breakdown of law and order.
Uniform is not about who is wearing it. The uniform represents the authority of the state. Whether it's a small boy or not, it is the authority of the state. It's even worse when it is a commission officer who has a presidential commission. And so when you make such disparaging comments, you have desecrated the oath.
Talk about Mr. Nyesom Wike this morning, but in light now of what's happened with he and the officer and some of the reactions coming from some military from military generals, even the former Chief of Defense Staff has weighed in on this one as well, and of course NMDPRA, the 15% tax, and other stories. Rufai.
Okay, in his words that he used to Officer Yerima, you are a fool. Mr. Wike thinks we are fools. Oh, he really thinks we are fools. And it's obvious. He thinks we are fools. And for those that sulk up to him, you can see what you have done. You can see what you've done. You've
name some of those.
You've increased this ego. There are plenty.
Give us empirical data.
Empirical facts.
The data boys and cameramen.
Yes. There was a cameraman that was implicated.
Please. So those that suck up to him and feed his ego and go and sit in front of him and be hearing all he's saying, you have cost Nigeria this ruination. The next thing, he starts to change the matter. He starts to talk about law. He says the land is owned by Santos, it's not owned by the naval chief. No, you must really think we are kindergartens and we are foolish people in this country. If the land is not owned by the military officer that bought it from that Santos that they allocated the land to, why are we here? And Matawale said he told you that they will call the military apparatchik. You spoke to the CDS, but that was not enough. You took a convoy there Dr. Abati, this man even took outriders. I don't know when FCT ministers start to take outriders and big convoy.
And maybe as a former governor.
Took outriders. They marched to the venue. But what did they collect? Water. He collected water because as he went back. Yerima stood his ground. Then he started assaulting Yerima. We forget that was assault. If Yerima takes permission from the Navy, he can actually sue Nyesom Wike for assault. Then the next thing, one of his data boys was on air the other day saying, what did he say? He said he was angry. He was angry. That's why he was calling him a fool, right? He was angry. He was angry. So they are trying to twist the narrative. What do these people take us for? What do Minister Wike take us for? He thinks we are fools? Right. Minister Wike, the honorable thing to do in things like this, it won't hurt you. Apologize to the people. What I thought your press conference was going to be is apologize to everybody that is hurt. Even if you don't want to call Yerima's name, apologize to Yerima. Right. Or the institutions that are bound.
Yeah, I think institutions.
That's just important. It. All you need now is apology. Just stop digging yourself in. Just apologize. Oh, for all the sin that happened, I apologize for all concerned. And that's just it. Let this matter end here. You call the press, you are digging it, trying to think we are fools to ourselves.
All right.
Okay, just additional comments on the man I described yesterday as Yomonile of the Federal Capital Territory, who thoroughly embarrassed the president of Nigeria while pretending to be exercising delegated authority. This morning, I've also said he comes across as APC's political bouncer in the People's Democratic Party. Hence, he's trying to impose himself on that party to serve the purpose of a fifth columnist within the People's Democratic Party. So that ties the two subjects together. However, he was on television characteristically yesterday, paid, adverts for himself, in which he was saying that he respects the rule of law. Now, I don't think that is true. If the minister respects the rule of law, he cannot be selective in terms of the rule of law that he respects. When he was governor in Rivers State, did he respect the rule of law? In his attempt to say, as he insisted yesterday, that he wants to preserve the integrity of the Abuja master plan, going to pull down people's buildings, going to attack estates, is that respect for the rule of law for a man that is an officer in the Temple of Justice as a legal practitioner? Now, this same man says he's respecting the rule of law. Why is it that a person who says he respects the rule of law will be selective in his respect for the rule of law? There are many court judgments regarding to this Abuja master plan. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory chooses the kind of law that he wants to respect, the one that he doesn't want to respect. That in itself is an abominable, unacceptable behavior. That's number one. So he's saying he respects the rule of law. That's a lie. Number two, he said that he has no problem with the military and that he respects the military because he knows what the military is doing, and that if he has any problem with the military, he knows where to go, but he doesn't believe in confrontation. Nyesom Wike saying that he does not believe in confrontation. He even confronts journalists.
Yes.
Not realizing that you don't fight a man or people who have platforms. You will lose in the long run. So disrespecting the media, the military establishment, confronting the military establishment, that's precisely what he did. And by so doing, I insist, I repeat, that he exposed the president, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, to utter embarrassment. And that is something that I think that the president of Nigeria should still address, one way or the other. And it is as follows. He says, he respects the military. He doesn't disrespect any institution. This is after it was reported yesterday on the front page of a Punch newspaper that the generals are fuming. There is no general that is supporting Nyesom Wike. They are all supporting Officer Yerima. They say he's disciplined. They said he was polite. They said he showed professionalism. The CDS is behind him. Minister Matawale has spoken also in his defense and in defense of the military. The Minister of Defense, Minister Badaru, has also spoken in defense of the military. The Inspector General of Police has told his men that, look, nobody should go and use you to pull down other person's buildings in Abuja without a court order. In other words, the Inspector General of Police is also saying that what Minister Wike did was unlawful, was a resort to self-help, and law enforcement officers wearing the police uniform should not do that. So Minister Wike says he respects the rule of law. So he's the only one who is redefining, recharacterizing, positioning his conduct. I think that the time has come for the president of Nigeria to call him to order.
Yes.
To say that there is something about decorum in terms of the behavior of public officers. He could have used a court order.
Yes.
If there are court orders, he could have respected those court orders, and whether the land was in the possession of a former chief of air staff or naval staff or whatever. Nobody is above the laws of the land, and no minister has the powers to intimidate everybody. He says he doesn't like intimidation, that nobody can intimidate a government. All of us exist under the rule of law. And by conduct, ministers who have been given the opportunity to serve by President President Tinubu must also conduct themselves in a decorous manner. No minister has the powers to come and dictate to everybody. You dictate to the media, you dictate to the military.
We're telling you the question to
on
ask
the basis
in
of what?
media chats.